Now, I am a pretty big horror fan, but I'm quite specific when it does come to my horror. I kind of love slashers, like Scream is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I love kind of more like gothic horror as well, and vampire things like Nosferatu, and all that kind of darker stuff. So I thought it would be fun to talk about some of my favorite horror books and do a recommendations video on them. A lot of these I would say are pretty accessible if you aren't really a horror fan or get scared and grossed out pretty easily. I feel like these are an easy way to get into it. We've got quite a few different like genres and themes within horror, so let's go through them all. Okay, I'm going to start with one of my favorite horrors that is more literary horror than just strictly horror, and that is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This is a beautiful and heartbreaking tale of grief and love, and it is just so sweet. It's got lesbian and sapphic representation in it as well, so it is perfection. But I read this twice in the span of about a month. It was like split between 2 months that I read them, but I read it twice within about a month all up. This is just so beautiful and heartbreaking. So in this we follow two different women. We've got Leah and Miri. They are wives. They've been together for a decent amount of time, and we follow them at different kind of stages in this story. So we follow Leah throughout her journey under the sea in this like research mission that goes catastrophically wrong, and then we look at Miri's perspective of dealing with this once Leah is back and the changes that have kind of happened to her wife and how she's navigating that in dealing with that and how different it is after being alone for months. It is very open-ended and ambiguous. There's not a whole lot of answers. You're kind of more looking at their relationship and the change throughout it. It is just beautiful and devastating and just perfection in every sense of the way. So if you're not a horror fan and want to get into it, I think this would be a really easy way to get into it because it does have some horror elements, but it's not super scary. It's just more focused on the horrors within the relationship in a way, I guess, and the horrors in which someone can change. It is just beautiful. This next one is definitely a step up from Our Wives Under the Sea in terms of horror, but it again is dealing with that grief as well, and we focus a lot more on the relationships in that. And this one is Monstrilio. This is by Gerardo Samano Cordova. This is just beautiful and harrowing. It is very reminiscent of Frankenstein in some ways, but it is just such an interesting and unique book. So in this, we follow a mother who, after her son dies, she ends up carving out a piece of his lung and kind of feeding it and growing it and nurturing it until it turns into this little creature that they name Monstrilio. This is told in 4 different parts. Our first one is from the mother, Margot, and we follow her as she kind of navigates this grief and the way that it changes her relationship with her husband and her son's father. And it is just very interesting the lengths at which she will go to hold on to her son and his memory. Then we follow her husband as well and the way that this grief has changed and impacted him. We follow their best friend who's very just infatuated with Margot and is in love with her, but that is not really reciprocated in the same way. And then our final perspective is from Monstrilio himself. And it is just a really hard read. It made me cry so much, but it is just honestly so beautiful. It definitely does look more at the horrors in a relationship and people and what grief does to people and the physical manifestation for that. It is just so beautiful. If you love Frankenstein, I think you will love this because it is really about humanity and it is just gorgeous. I love it so much. Next is Bad Cree by Jessica Johns. This is one of my all-time favorite books. It is just perfection. I know I say that all the time, but this is honestly just so good. This is kind of more an indigenous horror. It uses some mythology and folklore that I honestly find so terrifying that this was just a very unsettling read with, but it is just so good. So in this we follow Mackenzie, who one day she wakes up clutching a crow skull in her hand, and she starts noticing crows following her around her, and everywhere that she is, she just notices a crow is there. So night after night, Mackenzie is plagued with these dreams where there is crows being seen throughout them, and it also goes through her sister's death and kind of reliving the moments that led up to that and what happened before it. She kind of realizes that she needs to go home to deal with this grief and to be with her family again and process it, and her other sister sort of try to uncover the mystery of what actually happened to their sister. It is really beautiful and horrifying as well, especially in the last bit when we kind of realize what actually happened and the creature that was maybe responsible. It is truly horrifying, but again, one of those books that really explores grief in such a beautiful way. Again, this is perfect for someone that wants to get into horror but loves more literary things and things that is more focused on the human bonds and relationships. I think you'll really enjoy this. The last one I think is pretty accessible is a horror, but in a way it's also kind of a thriller, I guess, and that is We Used to Live Here. This is by Marcus Kleber. This actually started as a serialized short story on Reddit and is now a full-fledged novel, and this is actually insane. I borrowed this from the library and needed to get my own physical copy because I flew through it. It is so addictive. In this, we follow a young couple, Charlie and Eve, who have just bought this house kind of that's in this isolated area. There's only one road in and out. If it snows or storms really bad, that road gets blocked. It's surrounded by forestry and everything. They're kind of in the progress of renovating and cleaning up this house and sorting it out. One evening, Eve is alone in the house, just kind of organizing and doing stuff, just chilling there with their dog while Charlie's out getting some things that they need for the night and also picking them up dinner for them. And when Eve is kind of going about her day and doing her stuff, this family knocks on the door and the father tells Eve that, hey, I used to live here. Can I come inside and show my family around? And for some reason, Eve lets them in. It kind of starts snowing and storming and they have to stay there because there's no way out for them, and Charlie never comes home. We look at the weird stuff that's happened in this house, the weird paths and things that connect to it, the weird stuff that this father says has happened. It is honestly very creepy. It is so interesting. It's again sort of an open ending and leaves you with a lot more questions than answers, but it is just absolutely insane. I don't really want to say too much more than that because you kind of just need to read it to see what it's like and to see whether everything that happens is real or whether Eve is actually just kind of going crazy in the process of what's happened being alone with this family in the middle of nowhere. But it is just, oh, it's so interesting. It's such an insane book. I still think about it and it's something I can see myself rereading forever and always finding new things in it. We've also kind of got Morse code that is interspersed in it. I'll see if I can find one. But yeah, in it we've kind of got this Morse code that is interspersed along with these logs and they all add up to say something at the end. So there's a mystery for you to uncover yourself and to work towards besides just reading it, and I think it is so fun and unique. The next book I want to talk about is Briardark by S.A. Harrion. This is book 1 in a series. This is kind of like a survival-ish horror. It's very reminiscent of a lot of those survival horror games, and it is just so insane and so many twists and turns and very mysterious and like full of weird things happening like We Used to Live Here. So this is told through 2 different perspectives. One of our perspectives is Dr. Sienna. She's on a research trip with some of her colleagues and friends to study this glacier, and they are hiking through this area, this wilderness. An area is also where a group of women went missing ages ago and their bodies never turned up. So it's already got mysterious things happening. But as they're going to walk to this cabin where they're going to stay before they go to the glacier and study it, they start noticing some weird things. They do find a body. They also find paths are changing. They turn around and those paths are no longer there. And once they get to that cabin, some very weird stuff starts happening. Our next character we follow is Hayden. He works in IT and he stumbles across this hard drive that has these recordings of Dr. Sienna recapping and recounting what has happened up on this expedition and how they are trapped and lost and can't get out and they are missing. And it's him trying to piece together what's actually happened, whether it's real and if she's still out there or not. And it is just so interesting, the stuff that happens. Book 2 takes a completely different turn and I'm really intrigued to see where this goes. I know the author is also doing some more interactive stuff at the moment with this universe, so I'm intrigued to see where all of this goes. But if you're a fan of survival horror games, I think you will really enjoy this one. Now, these next ones are all pretty gory in their own way. A lot of them are good if you're not used to horror and want to get into it, but they are pretty full on and brutal. So the next one is a coming of age horror, and this is Chlorine. This is by Jade Song. This is honestly so fucked up and harrowing and insane. So this is, I honestly don't know how to explain this. In this, we follow Ren Yu, who is our high school swimmer, and she's kind of always been really competitive and really drawn into it. She honestly has like a bit of a god complex, I would say, and is trying to become the best she can be. She's also very much obsessed with mermaids, and looks at that obsession that kind of racks through her and the levels that she will go to achieve what she wants. It's honestly one of the most genuine and realistic teen horrors I've ever read. Like, the issues that she is facing are very real, but also taken to a whole nother level. It is just insane. It's also got sapphic yearning and a sapphic relationship kind of in it, and that kind of unrequited love and obsession that it goes through. It is just, I don't know how to explain it. I just need more people to read it because it is absolutely unhinged and disgusting in the best way possible. Now, another really short and easy horror is this little sort of like novella. This is The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Clare. This is also about mermaids. In this, we follow a mermaid and a plague doctor who are kind of just escaping this city that has been completely torn apart and reduced to ashes because of the mermaid's children. And they are looking for their own little slice of paradise where they can live and be happy. And on their way to doing that, they discover this village full of murderous and ravenous children, and it is absolutely insane. It is very easy and quick to read. It kind of changes everything you know about mermaids and asks what they would be like if they had teeth. It is very interesting and a really fun book. For one that will probably make you very sick, we have got Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. This is just disturbing. It has got sapphic yearning and obsession in it as well, kind of that insta-love as well, and it is just insane. It's I think a lot of people have compared it to Hannibal. I know that was one of the author's inspirations, but this is just absolutely wild. So in this, we follow Rosemary, who has gone through this breakup and ends up moving to this other town, and she's kind of trying to break out there, do something new, and she discovers this cupcake store at a farmer's market and is immediately infatuated with Ash, the girl who runs it, and is so obsessed that she constantly goes back trying to find Ash again and see Ash again, and just for the chance to see her, even a glimpse. And she's buying these cupcakes and is always obsessing over them, and they're so addictive that she just can't stop herself from going back. We follow them as their relationship progresses and that obsession grows on both parts. Rosemary is so desperate to be loved and to be in Ash's life that she kind of will do anything to get there. And then Ash is very controlling and secretive and is trying to protect herself and protect a secret that she has been hiding. And we go through and see what that is. I don't really want to say too much, but the end of this is absolutely disgusting. I felt so sick when I was finishing this, and the last bit of it made me so sad, and oh my god, this is one of the best horrors I've read. It was just disturbing and so good with all of these books, but especially this one. Please check the content warnings because oh my god. Okay, the next two books are by one of my favorite horror authors, and that is Stephen Graham Jones. I've got two of them here to talk about. The first one is My Heart is a Chainsaw. This is book one in the Indian Lake trilogy. This is such a good slasher. It is very slow and takes a lot to get into it, and takes a long time for a lot to happen, but once it does, it is just fully into it and doesn't stop. This kind of rewrites everything you would expect from slashers and expect from final girl trope. It is just absolutely insane. So in this, we follow Jade, who's an outcast. She is half Indian and has an abusive father and an absent mother, and she's kind of she is just the outcast of this little town. She's obsessed with horror and slashers. She takes every opportunity to do her school assignments on the genre. And we look at her as she tries to navigate being in this town and the people that are suddenly being murdered, and she thinks there is a slasher out there and someone killing them, and that this new girl that has just arrived is the final girl and something big is coming, but no one believes her. It's such a long and slow build up, but it is so worth it because once it gets there, it is just absolutely insane. It's just, I don't really want to say too much else because you just need to pick this up if you're a slasher fan. The last chunk of it was just beautiful. It was so well done, and once you kind of piece things together and when it gets to a certain point and Jade starts talking about things and going through some things, you will not be able to hold back your tears. It is brutal and such an incredible slasher, and I really need to get to the rest of the series because it is just insane. The next book by Stephen Graham Jones is The Only Good Indians. I think out of the two I have read, this is my favorite because it is absolutely unhinged and disgusting, and oh my god, I got goosebumps reading this. But in this, we follow a bunch of different Indian men, and 10 years ago, they went into this area that they weren't supposed to go and went hunting, and something went really wrong there, and they kind of have had to deal with the consequences since then. Now, a decade later, all of these men are slowly being killed by something, and one of them is kind of maybe going crazy. We don't know whether what he's seeing and experiencing is real or whether it's just all in his mind, and the things that he does because of these delusions and these things that he is seeing is absolutely disgusting and horrid. This book is disturbing as fuck. Big warning for animal cruelty in this because there is a lot of animal death and it is very brutal and violent, but this is an insane horror. The last 150 pages, the last bit when we're getting through that kind of final chase, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I wanted to stop reading because it was getting too much, but I had to keep reading to get answers. It is just absolutely insane. Stephen Graham Jones is an incredible horror author, and I think is honestly one of the next big horror authors and big voices in the genre. It's just incredible. He's got a new book that's just come out this year, The Buffalo Hunter, I think it's called. I've heard such incredible things. It's a vampire book, and his horror is just so incredible. He works so well within the confines of the genre while still doing something so new and unique, and it is always terrifying, just never in the same way. He is just phenomenal, and I think everyone should read him. But those are kind of all of the horror books I wanted to speak about. I've got more on my shelf up here that's just been cut off that I am hoping to get through to soon, but these are some of my favorite ones that I think a lot of people need to read. Some of them are well loved within the horror fandom, but some of them I feel like I don't really see spoken about all that much, but hopefully you found something here that you would like to pick up and read. Let me know if you do end up reading any of these and what your thoughts are, but I will see you all with a new video next time, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and that is it. Bye.